And welcome back. Today we're talking about the famine that Garrett thinks is about to hit us.
So the title of this podcast, I'm hoping, is going to be The Third Horseman.
Well, that's stupid. No.
We'll see if...
Tell you what, why don't we just take a vote right now? All right, all in favor of the four horsemen?
The Third Horseman.
The third horseman, raise your hand. All in favor for not that. Nick, what's your vote for?
Just abstain.
Well, now we have to fight brutally to the death.
Yeah.
After the podcast, though. So basically, the premise of this podcast is going to be, I've heard from multiple different sources that what has essentially happened is we haven't grown enough food this year on the planet. So there just wasn't enough food produced to sustain the population we have. And that's going to result in a famine that could possibly starve 1 billion people. What?
Who are the sources?
So I know one was on the Jordan Peterson podcast. I can't remember. What's wrong with the Jordan Peterson podcast?
I mean, I trust Foamy the Town Junkie more than Jordan Peterson podcast.
No, Jordan Peterson's
Really?
got some decent points. It's just when he's a psychologist.
But the person he was interviewing isn't a psychologist. He was an economist.
Oh, okay. Oh.
That's not a guy who deals with agriculture. He deals with money.
I know there's social science. I don't know. I just don't know if I trust two social science guys getting in a room together. Anyway, let's hear what they have to say.
If you have a negative opinion of Jordan Peterson, I just don't know what to say to you. But
He's a sellout.
wow.
He's got a point there. I like Jordan Peterson, though.
I'm trying my best.
He's got some decent
It's
points.
been a long day.
He's got some decent points, but he is a sellout.
I can't.
Either way, let's go on. Garrett, what are the numbers of people? How many kids are starving?
Well, it's not necessarily just kids. The potential is there for 1 billion people to starve, just around the world. Mostly in more impoverished countries, because when you have famine, it always hits the more impoverished countries.
Yeah, us Americans would probably be fine.
Well, so I don't know. It depends what you qualify as fine. I mean, so a 25% increase in food prices.
Show me the numbers.
So, okay, I can show you. I gave you the example actually today. I guess the first bit of evidence of what's already happening, everyone knows inflation's high. What the consumer price index came out at 8.3 this month.
Yeah.
But if you have, so I have livestock. And the interesting thing about livestock is, you buy feed for them and hay. I went to buy feed for my horses and chickens and stuff this last week. And the prices in the past 2 months have gone up. What was it?
15%.
15%. And what's interesting about that is livestock essentially eats the same plants humans do, just not the same parts. So when you grow corn, your corn stalks go into hay, your shucks go into feed, like different parts of the corn that's not the edible cob. And sometimes the edible cob, too, is specifically bred for cattle. But they eat the same part of the same plants to get produced into their feed. So when you get a 15% increase over 2 months in the price of livestock feed, what that tells you is that there is either a supply or demand increase in the feed itself, in the plants themselves.
So why don't we see an increase on corn?
So you have seen an increase on corn. Have you bought deer corn this year?
It's been the same as every other year.
No, it's never been $7 a bag.
Yes, it has.
I don't recall.
I bought it last year. It's $9 to $10 where the Walmart down here. It's always been that.
I don't know that that's accurate.
I was in a Walmart today, and they rate. So it depends. I guess there's grades of. I don't hunt. There's grades of deer corn.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So you can buy
So I've seen anywhere from $7 to $11.
That's bad. I buy the $9.
Because the Walmart I was in today, it has literally it's.
It also depends on how many
it's got
pounds.
Rows of them. Everywhere.
Yeah,
it also depends on pounds.
It's typically 40 to 50 pound bags. And
yeah.
The difference is like flavoring. So some put like a powder, like buck fever or apple flavoring.
Yeah, I buy the apple.
But I have no idea if it's mint flavored. I'm almost out of necessity. I feel like it would have to have gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, there's no demand. There's really no demand for it.
That's not true. Because
Really?
deer corn's pretty much the same as any other feed corn.
Yeah, but it's seasonal. Like they only sell it. They only sell it during like deer season.
Yes, I mean, So I don't really know enough to fact check you on the deer corn prices because I just pay for deer corn. The only reason I noticed the feed prices is because I buy it every 2 months, and I saw the pricing directly on my receipt.
So Walmart, I buy my deer corn at Walmart. Walmart doesn't usually stock theirs until at least August, end of August, September. That's when they'll start stocking it, just because hunting season happens in October. And it stayed the same. I buy the $9 bags.
So the example you've given relies on you recalling things that happened over a year ago, and the example I've given is within the last 2 months.
Well, no, I just know.
So
I know the same price.
I don't
because I literally bought it.
I don't think you do.
Because I buy the same.
And
bag
why
of
it's
corn.
right, like 8.3% inflation. That means it almost has to be higher than normal.
I mean, I buy the same bag. It's $9.
I know. Anyway, but so back to my point is the feed has increased 15% so far. So the interesting correlation there is it's made of the same plants, just different parts. So that means like corn theoretically could go up 15%. Any other feed-based plant that humans also eat is going to probably go up about 15%. If not more, because it's the higher end of the plant. What that's also going to do naturally is raise your meat prices, because in meat, eggs, dairy, because the price to fuel meat growth or dairy growth is higher now. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, being at 15% that's a pretty significant increase in 2 months. And really, the logic behind that is we exist in a just-in-time economy. So, like, we keep fresh produce on the shelves until it expires, and then we get a new shipment just before it expires. Like, it's a very delicate system that we have producing food in the U.S., especially, not producing it, but getting it out to supermarkets. And the reason it's just now having these massive jumps is because they've essentially ceased selling last year's produce, and now they're having to operate entirely on what was produced this year, which is less than.
Well, I have a question. So, like, do you think the feed went up because it's becoming winter, and they know they can charge more because you have to use feed and hay in the winter?
It's for sure not. So typically, the feed store I go to was very good about having regular pricing. So your feed probably is going to go up a little bit in the winter just because of seasonal demand, but we're also not in the winter. Like, this is fall.
Yeah, but we're getting ready for winter.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Like hay, when you buy hay's a whole nother beast. Hay right now is up anywhere from 200 to 350% from last year. I used to buy a bale of horse quality hay, which if you know hay, there's different qualities. But horse quality hay for $40 a bale. I cannot find it for less than $125 a bale right now. It is insane.
Well, that's almost got to be a supply shortage.
Yeah. And that it for sure. So I'm on 3 different hay sale exchanges just trying to get hay for my horses. And basically the things I've seen are the reason for the shortages is a lot of hay farmers missed their first and even sometimes their second cuts of hay. So in a normal year, because of the drought. So in a normal year, they get, anywhere from 2 to 4 cuts of hay, depending on fertilizer, temperature, environmental factors. And they missed potentially half to 2/3 of their potential harvest, which has just driven the price insanely up. Which, again, is especially after the winter or during the winter, is going to really screw your meat prices. Mm-hmm. There's a few things they can do to get around that, like selling cattle off right now to kind of cut back on their feed but they're not going to take the hit either. Like, they're going to kind of average out the price of hay, the price of feed, and what it's going to cost to feed the cows they keep. But it's crazy, and all of these to me indicate a very severe lack. It's just evidence to support what this guy is saying, that we just did not produce enough this year.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is there's a war right now.
Well, so this is going to be multifaceted. This is going to be a multifaceted problem. So let's go ahead and talk about climate change.
So first off,
I don't dismiss it like climate change isn't a huge portion of this.
Well, so I don't think it is a portion of this. So it's at least 25%, and you're going to argue for more, and you can. But climate. I mean, so there was a drought this year. In case you've been living under a rock.
We've been droughts for years. This is just a worse end of it.
Not like this though. So there was a similar drought in like 2014 where we went similar times without rain, pretty much in the Midwest. The thing about this drought is it's everywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
So like Europe, if you've seen the European starving stones that came up in the rivers, they're essentially like these riverbeds. When they dry up, people would put rocks in here that said, if you see this rock, beware. Or, like, one of them was prepare to suffer or something in Germany. It's dark crap.
Maybe have to date that.
But no, it's from, like, I think it's the late 1700s.
No, we're good.
It's...
I forgot. He was, never mind.
No fun party.
But, yeah, it was... It's pretty stark and it's pretty global.
We also have to realize that the world leader in wheat right now is Ukraine, and the world leader in fertilizer is Russia, and they're not playing ball much with anybody.
Yeah, so that's kind of the the global affairs aspect of this famine. But I was going to strictly focus on climate change for a minute.
Oh, well,
just to give y'all your due. Since y'all, every time I mentioned this, y'all were just like eating me alive for it.
Well,
it's like you mentioned everything else.
Huh? Yeah, I just don't.
It'd be like if we had a conversation about NBA basketball grades and we just didn't mention Michael Jordan.
the reason I do that is because everyone's basically only attributing this to climate change, and that's what irritates me. It's like, so does climate change play a part in this? For sure. I mean, certainly you don't get a drought like this that's not resulted from. I mean, just an increasing temperature climate. It's just not the only thing. Like, we shouldn't be talking about it as if fixing climate change would have fixed this whole thing. Does that make sense?
It would have helped.
I mean, so yeah, it would have helped if we would have a more predictable.
It would
climate.
be less. Volatile,
I mean, so in theory,
based on other factors. So like the war in Ukraine wouldn't matter as much if we were producing as much in America and all over the globe as much as we needed to. Well, the problem is that no one, like the ag report came out in the end of August, and only like 8 countries had more crops harvested than they did last year. Well, we are very skeptical about the ones who said they did, just because like China is also one of them, and China has a tendency to lie to lower their prices for their people. So it's a bunch of countries like that. We did not. I think we had diminishing returns, and most of the world has diminishing returns, and it's bad because like. The war in Ukraine can't be why Americans didn't grow enough crops.
Well, so it can in different ways. So there's
How?
The lack of fertilizer.
Ain't no rain. No matter how much poo you put on your field, if it ain't got no rain.
It actually does. Like, so there is a science to farming. Like, any modern farmer will probably tell you that. Like, it's a delicate balance between like nitrogen-based fertilizer, which pretty much only comes from Ukraine and Russia.
The whole world. Like, how much does Russia produce? It can't be that much.
It's a lot.
$12.9 billion US.
Well, what percent of the market do they have?
Oh, it's. I think Ukraine was significantly higher than 60%. Like,
of grain or of fertilizer?
Fertilizer.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah, Nick's gonna fact check this real quick, but that's kind of the thing. I mean, plants require sunlight. They require food in the form of nutrients from either fertilizer or the soil, and they require water. And we were screwed on water, we got screwed on fertilizer, and I mean, sunlight's been about the same.
No, China produces the
No, it's Russia. 2021, 15% total export was Russia, 13 was China, 8% was Canada, 6 was, I don't even see Ukraine on here. U.S. is
That doesn't make sense.
2, 3, 4, 5.
I mean, I don't think. Again, this is multiple sources, and
This is a 2022.
Well, they could be lying to scare you, like the boogeyman.
I guess they could be, but even you agreed that we're all seeing diminishing returns on our harvest.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I don't think. I mean, the price indications in feed and hay just seem to verify it. And maybe fertilizer doesn't play as big a part in it then. Would be the only thing I think that would indicate. I mean, Russia does produce a lot of it, but not 60% of it. You know what I'm saying? But that's been another facet of this.
Yeah. So I mean it would definitely be like the reason that crops are not being grown as much is definitely multiple things probably at play. So there's less fertilizer. There's less
water,
and that's a bad combination.
Well, and so the water thing's a tricky thing too, because climate change doesn't get rid of rain; it moves it. So places that normally get a predictable amount of rainfall may now see either diminish, like less or more, or more in one season.
The problem is that like most of that water gets pushed to the oceans. So in other words, like there's more rainfall over the oceans, which is bad because you lose fresh water. Not all around, because eventually, evaporation and stuff, it comes back. But the fact that it's raining now more over oceans is no bueno. Because that's less it's hitting.
We can't
crops.
Capitalize.
We've got deserts that are growing.
Yeah, also like Colorado, like rivers are down because there's no more snow on the mountain peaks. It's getting less and less.
That's just the end of an ice age. That's
a problem.
I mean, yeah.
That's a problem. If we got ice caps melting, that's an issue.
Oh, it's happened several times before in the past.
Yeah, but not whenever we had 2 billion people packed.
Yeah, so that's the thing is how's climate change going to affect humans?
Yeah, Do people think that the position of climate change is that we've never had a changing climate until humans arrive? Like, is that what people honestly think climate change is saying?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Possibly.
Pause. No, I do not think I don't think that's what people think. I think that the thing is like humans as a group have been around. Like, so I can't remember when the end of the last ice age was. But we're in the ending of an ice age.
Not 7 billion of us.
So that's fair. That's fair.
And counting.
We would have been highly concentrated. But I think it was something like 80,000 years ago, if I'm remembering the video right. Which humans would have been around back then.
Let's see, last ice age?
But, I mean, again,
we're still in an ice age right now, technically.
We're in the ending of an ice age. Yeah. Well, if there's any ice caps left, then it is still technically an ice age. Which means as long as Antarctica's frozen, we're in an ice age.
Right.
But, I mean, so, like, really, that was an interesting thing from the video you sent me, is, like, the Earth spends way more time, like, covered mostly in ice. Like, by far the norm for the northern hemisphere is to be under a mile of ice. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, climate change, global warming, that's not good. That doesn't help. And then you throw in the fact that it's harder to now get fertilizer and stuff that you can't grow from other countries because of foreign policy, and it just kind of snowballs. So you've already got that domino, which at this point is a fucking constant.
Right.
Like, there is no... It's easier to solve the war in Ukraine than it is to solve climate change right now. So you've got that as like a constant. So they're already dealing with that now, whether they choose technology, better farming habits, whatever. And then they also now have to overcome this, and this, and this, and this.
Which I guess we're gonna lead into the third step of this, which is kind of COVID fucked the supply chains globally, and they still haven't fully recovered, which is evidenced partially by inflation. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into inflation, government spending, but essentially inflation is a supply and demand problem, like any other pricing issue.
We saw the supply chains. We saw how delicate it really.
That's facts.
It really fucking is, because That's honestly why Britain and all of Europe, because they still get all their shit from China. It just takes longer to go from China to Europe than it does to go from China to California. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The supply chain stuff has caused a lot of inflation. I just don't know how much they're shipping food across the fucking ocean.
A lot.
Ah.
Like,
they just got to keep them cold because they're perishable, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it's all perishable. Yeah. But like you said, that goes back to that just-in-time delivery method I mentioned earlier.
They got freezers on their cargo hold.
Gotcha.
But it's crazy that, like you said, just how delicate this system that we built globally is. And it's great in a lot of ways, but it is incredibly delicate, apparently. I mean, a flu screwed us for going on, 4 years? 3 years?
No.
So it for sure screwed us for 2.
It was at least 2.
And now we're still dealing with the supply chain ramifications from it.
Yeah.
And it's a mess.
So,
and now, of course, there are problems in the U.S. with the labor market that are exacerbating this. The Great Resignation, union strikes, stuff like that.
Did the railroad people make a deal?
Yeah, they ended up making a deal. Thank God, because if the railroads quit transporting food during a famine, the middle of the country would just be double screwed, which is also where all your beef and pork and stuff like that comes from. So that would have been terrible. So I'm glad they reached an agreement.
If anyone who didn't know, all railroad workers were about to go on strike. Congress would have forced them back to work. They were all going to quit if the railroad company didn't meet their demands, and apparently they did. Smart decision.
I don't know if they've actually voted to accept the deal or not, but I know what they were offered essentially was a 24% raise over 3 years. It's 4 years, but they count 2022 as a year, so it's 3 more years.
Well, this whole thing's been a 2022 issue.
Yeah, so, there were tons, really since Biden took office, there's been tons of strikes. Well, we had the John Deere strike, the teachers strike. Well, teachers strike all the time, but
they got more leverage now.
And it's kind of, that's for sure. Because there's a great resignation. Yeah. People are switching occupations.
No offense, you're not going to get these young people to go out and work on a railroad.
That's also facts.
And it's anyone who works on a railroad can work any trade job, most likely.
Like I said, so the supply chain, internationally and domestic, has been exacerbating this problem too. Probably not to the same degree that either climate change or the fertilizer shortage has, because it's more of a transport problem. Although energy costs could, the price of diesel to harvest may be affecting it too. Because your tractors run on diesel, and diesel was what, $5 something a freaking gallon?
$5.18.
Yeah.
So, you figure you're running a huge tractor combine on that, and farms operate on even commercial grade farms operate on razor thin margins. Some aspects of the economy operate on 50, 60, 70% margins. Food, I believe, is somewhere from 5 to 10%. Specifically farmers, I should say, not food in general. And then Walmart doesn't increase the markup on their groceries that much because they're hoping they make their money on the TVs and the electronics section and whatnot.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Is that not true?
No. The only thing in Walmart, this is a fucking fact. The only thing in Walmart, period, that's made any money is groceries. The past fucking, what are we at, 9 months, 10 months?
Oh, so what's their markup on groceries then?
Not very high. They make up for it in volume.
Oh, okay. So I was wrong, but I just proved
it'll change. It always so I don't know. Retail is so weird. So they have food that they make money for. That's their cash cow for 9 months out of the year, and then during the last 4 months, Christmas season.
That's all the big tickets.
That's when they try to make more money.
Turkeys,
they're just trying to honestly go
electronics,
even, maybe a little bit above even, and then come quarter 4, that's where they try and make all their money.
Yeah, right. So, if you're operating on 5% sales or 5% margins, but you're selling to 80% of the market, that's still a ton of money.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because it literally in Walmart, each item is a different margin. So you know what I'm saying? Because they have, TVs, which are huge margins, and then they have chips, which are very tiny margins.
Right. So let's see. We've covered climate change. We've covered, I guess, domestic and foreign policy. We've covered supply chain issues. I don't think that... Is there anything else worth noting about this?
You think 1 billion people are going to die?
I don't know. I mean, so we were told that 200 million people could die from the Rona, and that didn't end up being true. I'm hoping it's hyperbolic.
I think we were told 2 million.
I'm pretty sure it was 200 million because it was
2 million in the U.S. at least.
Oh, then it may have been 200 million globally, but I remember 200 million because it was hysterical. But yeah, so I don't know that I believe 1 billion. But I do believe that there's some hard times coming. I'll keep an eye out on the feed prices and whatnot just to see if they keep going up. I'm thinking they're going to. Europe is already, predicting 22% inflation? Not counting energy?
Yeah. I mean...
so that's going to be insane. The real so in America, we might be better off just for a variety of different reasons. Mostly that we have the capacity to produce stuff here that other countries don't. So like the UK, you can't farm the UK. I mean, you can, but not to the same extent that you can
Ohio.
Right.
The UK is the size of a state.
That's kind of the scary thing about this is there's nothing to be done. Like you can't. Food takes time.
Yeah, it's winter.
You have no time.
It's winter, and in your big states, it gets like the first freeze is coming up in October for a lot of your big Midwestern states. So the harvest season's done except for your winter grains and stuff, which those are going to be harvested before the first freeze.
Well, and there's zero hope that they're going to get more rain and more they're going to rectify all these problems in time to harvest enough food of the winter harvest that's going to make up for it.
Most of your winter harvest goes to your feed.
Cattle.
Yeah, it's strictly you do a winter harvest strictly for your cattle.
So maybe my feed inflation won't be so high just in time to start paying a lot more at the grocery store.
Yeah, then you're a liar.
Maybe so I'm not lying about it right now. It may go down in the future. I don't think it's going to go down. I think it's going to go up, and that's going to be scary. And that's kind of like I said, that's kind of the thing is I don't know that there's anything we can do. I mean, the only thing I could think of would be alternate food sources. So we would have to mass harvest some sort of alternate food source. So there's been a lot of talk about locusts in America and stuff. And it happens every time we get one of these big 7-year swarms that come through. People look at it as they're higher in protein and they're more sustainable and yada yada yada. Why don't we just all eat bugs? And it's no. But you'll do some weird shit when you're hungry. I mean, and even in America, we may not have as many people starve. But, I mean, can you afford a 25% increase in your grocery bill? I can, but how many people can't?
Bring back the spam.
We
may go back to the 50s.
We're not that far from breadlines, folks.
I don't think so.
You know what that means? There's no season limit on deer.
And that's communism, damn it. Breadlines are communism.
Yeah, we could go back in time and vote Al Gore in.
If you have a time machine and the first thing you do is elect Al Gore,
why go buy
that's like
DeLorean?
A crime against humanity.
Well, at least he believed in this shit.
Yeah, there's stopping Hitler or 9/11, and it's
witnessing their crucifixion.
Al Gore. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe talk him out of making that movie though.
Which movie?
What was it? Inconvenient Truth. Was that it? That was it. That was where he made all those predictions about polar bears being extinct by 2015. It was funny. He was just so wrong on so much, but he got the premise right. Well, not even the premise because it was global warming then, but now it's just climate change because...
Well, we had to change the name because fuckheads don't know what they're talking about. It's true. It's true. Right. Ben Shapiro. What, don't you think that they're just going to sell their homes and move? No, you fucking dumbass. There's a fucking ocean there now. Can't fucking sell land that's not there.
That's true. I mean, so raising sea levels would, I don't know. If people really believed in climate change, why are millionaires buying beachfront property?
Because they can spend the money and we can't.
Well, I guess if it goes underwater, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah. Insurance will cover it.
What?
Insurance.
Is he wrong?
Is there, will they?
Their flood insurance.
Yeah. Geico.
Oh.
Not sponsored.
Does not sponsor this channel.
But they should.
Well, so I guess my question to you guys is: do you have any plausible solutions besides
none that you're gonna like?
Yeah, no, those aren't serious. I don't think you guys would actually recommend.
No, he's talking. I thought Nick meant deal with climate change. No, that's not what you meant. You meant the.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
If you saw our last podcast, Nick endorses cannibalism.
I
guess
endorse it. But I'm saying
Soylent Green is an option, I guess, if you're a barbarian. But
I mean, people in the Depression sold their babies.
yeah, that's pretty freaking crazy.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, so we're coming up on a recession. The Fed is going to apparently they've bumped it. So at the beginning of the year, they were going to increase it 50 basis points throughout the year. Then they did 75 in July. Now they're talking about doing, instead of another 75, they're talking about doing a 1% increase just to try to slam the brakes on inflation. And
well, interest rates have already gone up, right?
Have been going up steadily all year since inflation, because the Fed, I mean, is trying to get a handle on 8%, 10% inflation by the end of the year.
why don't we just stop printing money? There we go. So, problem.
I mean, that does sound like a fucking fantastic idea.
Yeah, the government
The thing
doesn't.
is, the government doesn't have a choice, because once you settle the budget, once you it's got to be printed, and even if you don't have the money, and that's where the problem begins.
They print money. It's fine. I print money. It's counterfeiting. Federal prison. What the fuck's that?
I was hoping you were going to come in with that. That was a good one.
What kind of shit is that?
I think it should be counterfeiting if they fucking produce money.
It's a private company who does it.
That prints the money.
Yeah.
Does the federal bank not print money?
No, the Fed, like
the
federal,
Treasury, or?
the Federal Reserve is not ran by the government.
It's its own separate entity. No, like legit. Like they can legit
the head of the
legit,
Fed, though.
Legit, if they wanted to,
Like,
they can just start printing for no reason.
This thing, there's
I guess, but they pretty much act like during Trump's...
You know, it's coming to a point that the coins we mint our money on, the metal's worth more than the coin's value.
I think you're making a distinction without a difference as regards to the Fed. Like, okay, it's not a government entity; it just does whatever the government tells it to do.
Not really.
Yeah,
oftentimes they do whatever the government doesn't tell them to do. Like, they were the ones that during, they were the ones that pumped interest rates to fucking zero after pumping like an additional like $6 trillion into the economy. Like, that's a bad combination.
Yeah.
And it's like, we asked for one of those, not both.
Well, and so that, I guess that's going to touch on the other side. So we've covered the actual just shortage problem, but a lot of, I guess you guys haven't lived as working class citizens through a recession yet. I have.
What do you mean? What?
Yeah, you guys haven't lived through a recession yet. Like working 100%?
100% I have.
No, I mean like working...
Like right now.
Well, okay, that's fair. I mean like before now. This will be your first recession. This is my second or third. Second, as an actual working adult. No, I'm just saying, like, so a lot of people, and there's no telling how bad it's going to get. So, Black Tuesday this week, like, the stock market had its worst day since the beginning of COVID. And, what?
Wait, so hold on. Worse since COVID?
Yeah.
Because I know with COVID, the stock market was just terrible.
It had it had a higher, like, it was the worst day in the stock market since COVID.
Okay.
So it wasn't as bad as COVID, but it's the worst since COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, and really, like, so it's not even equatable to what happened when we figured out we were going to shut down the economy for 2 years.
Did anyone else not go to work during COVID?
I went to work.
Yeah, so the economy didn't fucking shut down. There we go.
A lot of people didn't go to work. Was it 80% of small businesses closed?
Something like that.
And then like 60%,
Yeah, that's just in
60%
California.
of those that closed never plan to reopen.
That
Like,
could-
a lot of people were out of work and closed.
Probably got bought out.
I doubt it. I bet they just went.
If they did, it was probably for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. But if we do enter, we are in a recession. If the recession continues, then you're going to start seeing unemployment start to rise. That's a deadly combination, man. You get 25% inflation, just as a number. 25% inflation, on food, never mind energy or anything else. And then you also have an unemployment rate that's rising. Like, that's crazy. It's lining up to at least have the potential to be a perfect storm. Whether it will come to fruition or not is kind of a numbers game, and I'm not a numbers guy.
Well, thank God we have the right dude at the helm.
Kamala?
Donald Trump, our shadow president?
No.
Oh.
Jeff Bezos?
We have Dark Brandon.
Oh my God. I hate Dark.
Obama's back?
Dude.
Wow.
That was fucking... Oh my God.
Wow.
From now on, I'm gonna make a meme after this, and I'm gonna put the real Dark Brandon and put a picture of Obama. In aviators.
The aviators are iconic.
Oh my God, that was good. That was gold. I don't care.
Alright.
I don't care who you are. We're never gonna be monetized anyway, so.
Hi, Rosie. Sorry, if you hear scratching, it's a dumb dog.
But yeah, it's gonna be. And midterms are coming up. That's gonna make it more of a clusterfuck.
It's already like
It's
a pretty good battleground so far. Like the Republicans they're not even winning.
Yeah, it's the gap's definitely narrowed, as they tend to do as you get close to election time. But no one. I mean,
no one thought it'd narrow this much.
Yeah, in March or really before July of this year, no one predicted that we were going to have anything less than a fucking red wave.
But a red
And
wave
now
is
it's
not.
like-
It's not. It's like a little red drop.
No, Republicans haven't done the best job of nominating candidates thanks to Democrat funding.
Smart
which
choice.
is stupid if you're a fucking
Oh, it's so
Democrat.
fucking. I hope there's
It's
still
a- it's
a red
a-
wave and it bites them.
It's a
Yeah,
big.
that's what
wanna-
I'm saying.
It's a big
That's-
risk.
Like, they did that and it got Trump fucking elected. Like,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna tell me, like, the only person
Yeah.
more unlikable than fucking Hillary might have been Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, truth be told, they got Herschel Walker, which I'm pretty sure he's gonna lose.
In Georgia,
Yeah, he should have
Not
stuck to
even-
football.
he's not even the worst one. But,
Dr. Oz is probably the worst as far as
Yeah.
like conservatism is, because this dude has like it wasn't even that long ago that he was not conservative at all, and now he's trying to convince everyone that he's turned over a new leaf. And the problem is he's going up against a stroke patient.
yeah.
Like, it's like Dr. Oz is not the kind of conservative I want in office. Like, but I also don't live in Pennsylvania, I guess. So
Yeah.
if you vote him in, vote you.
I'm
but-
excited. We'll have to do a fucking prediction map. Like, all three of us fill out a prediction map before midterms. Just on the Senate. You can't do the House. It's too fucking crazy.
I mean, so just going on record here, I think it's going to be like a 54-46 split. I
Which
think.
way?
Honestly, hang on. I may have to reconsider that. Because I think it might actually be closer than that. It's probably going to be damn near 50-50. If Republicans pick up a 51, that'd be a miracle at this point.
Wait, were you thinking 54 Republican?
Yeah, that was my instinct, but I realized that was very optimistic.
Okay, hold on.
Very stupid.
So we gotta separate in all things what we want to happen versus what we think is going to happen.
Yeah.
50-50. Back to square one.
Well, then it's 51-50, though.
Yeah, because then, yeah.
But 51's all you need to get the filibuster done.
Yeah.
But that didn't work these last 2 years, so.
We'll kill it, don't worry.
Oh boy. But yeah, I was looking at. I think it's gonna be a rough 2 years in America, and I just hope it's not too rough. That's all. Because like I said, I make enough money. I'm gonna be fine. You know, I may not be able to stock as much in savings or invest as much or stuff like that, but it's going to be the people at the bottom of the income spectrum that really get hit hardest, as they always do. It's always the bottom.
Our state's
The bottom
food.
that feel everything.
Our state's food. Like, we're screwed. Our state's screwed.
No, mate.
We're a poor state.
The problem is, so what number of people does anyone? There's like a percentage of people who can't afford like a $500 emergency expense.
It's a lot of Americans.
It's
I don't remember the stat, but it's a lot.
It was some obscene number. Like it had to be 40% or higher. Had to be. And like if you can't afford a $500 or $500 emergency, like what they already covered I think it was on NBC. They said that Americans are paying an extra $150 at the grocery store every month already. So, I mean, what are you going to do? And wages aren't increasing to. And honest, even if you did increase wages, it's a supply problem.
47% can't afford a $500 emergency.
Yeah, so damn near 50% of the country. Like, that's obscene. So if you can't afford a $500 expense, can you afford a 25% increase in your bills? And that's what's scary to me, you know? People may not die, but people are going to be really unhappy. Especially in America when we're so fucking privileged. As one, like, I believe in American privilege. Like, people have no idea just how blessed they are to live in America.
Yeah,
like, only in America do poor people have a $1,000 iPhone.
4 TVs.
Yeah.
3 fruit.
A car. Like, it might be
some
car,
people have like 3 cars.
It's insane. Yeah, I just hope that it's not going to be too bad, but I think it's gonna. My inclination is to think it's going to be really bad for a lot of people. And I mean, we haven't even touched on the possible, international ramifications of this. Because what do you get when you get starving populations? You get a lot of fucking war, people fighting over resources. It could get real ugly real fast. I mean, so they already had, I think, Sri Lanka? It was barely covered, but they've got food riots. Because the farmers are basically like, we can't, like, the government is trying to force them, my understanding. Don't quote me.
We're gonna.
My understanding is that they're trying to, like, force them. They're forcing them to do something. And the farmers are like, we don't. They're trying to force the farmers to use less fertilizer to keep up with carbon emissions because it produces pollution, like small amounts. But and the farmers are like, look, you don't understand. If you cut back on our fertilizer, we're like, you have no idea what you're doing. Like, we will lose everything. And it's not like they're out there just, like, spraying. Like, they're not Californians watering their garden with water. Like, this is a very scientific thing because, fertilizer is expensive. They want to buy as little as possible. So it's very targeted. And,
that's kind of funny. It's like, farmers didn't have water to do crops, but damn sure know those golf courses did. Golf courses had plenty of water to make sure those greens were nice and purty.
This is now just a South Park episode.
It's true. You think golf courses are going without water? No. You want to know why? Who plays on those golf courses? Rich people.
Yep.
It always comes down to, the bourgeoisie.
Okay.
Don't trust the birds.
But yeah, it's a depressing topic, but I think I wanted to get it out there. I know you guys weren't super enthused to talk about it, but
I didn't care. I have a solution.
Also, if I'm right, I get bragging rights.
No.
Yeah, tell you what, 1 billion people, die of starvation. Additional from last year.
Well, when you say it like that,
now
I just feel guilty.
You kind of look like a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you knew and you did nothing about it.
The fact is, so there's nothing to do about it.
You can donate a goat to something.
Donate your horses.
I mean, so right now,
send them to Ukraine.
I mean, if you're watching, if you want to do something about it, stock up. Rice, things that are non-perishable.
Twinkies.
I put my money where my mouth is. I've been buying shit in bulk and keeping it like.
You always buy shit in bulk.
No, bigger bulk. Bigger bulk.
What is bigger than bulk? The fucking warehouse?
Mega bulk.
That's gay.
It sounds like something
super bulk.
It sounds like a protein powder that bodybuilders take.
It probably is. Probably just infringe someone's copyright.
It for sure is. I've seen it.
And lawsuit.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming out of his paycheck.
Oh, all the
which is
I get
a
paid?
whole lot of zero. No, not you. You don't even get a zero paycheck.
This is a 50-50.
You get a
What
bag.
would happen if you took a paycheck with $0 on it to the bank?
You'd get
I
taxed.
spell it out for everything.
I would put a 1 in front
Someone
somewhere.
would probably look at you like you're retarded.
I put a 1 somewhere.
You're not going to be able to if you write the check right.
No.
Yeah. Well, any closing thoughts on this?
A billion people aren't going to die.
They're not. We're going to be fine.
I mean, it might suck. I mean, there are, more people are probably... I mean, we've been in this struggle for 2-3 years. Like, this is not going to be anything new. I mean, Russia went into Ukraine however fucking long ago. Like,
not even a full year ago.
That's what I'm saying. But, we've been dealing with all of this for, what's going to change? You brought up grocery prices. It's like they're already fucking high. Like, what are we going to do?
I mean, get significantly higher.
I mean, they're already significantly higher, though.
Buy one, get one free is going to start happening.
I think, what was the... so Consumer Price Index doesn't count gas and gas and food, right?
I don't think so,
I think it was 11% on groceries inflation. Because I know it was higher than the 8.3%, but don't quote me on that either. I mean, imagine double that. Like, that's going to be...
Why don't you imagine triple instead? If we're just using imagination here, I mean, why not?
Why don't you imagine some food?
That's the indication I'm getting
Why don't you imagine some food?
I mean, so God forbid it goes up like hay prices. I mean, 300%, and we're talking, oof. But it's. I think it's backed by reputable people. I'm seeing some correlated.
Phone me the town jokey.
I'm seeing correlated evidence in my daily life, anecdotal, whatever you want to call it. I think it's enough for at least me to start stocking up on stuff. Take that for what you will.
He's been doing this since he was
He's
a
an
kid.
apocalypticist. So.
Yeah.
I'm a survivalist, but
Prepper, that's what they call him.
Prepper. No, I don't have enough money to be a prepper.
Oh.
Whack job is what I call him.
I've been called worse. But yeah, I mean, do your research. Tell us what you think in the comments, guys. You got anything else besides Garrett? You're fucking wrong.
You're stupid.
Oh, so you're wrong. I'm wrong and stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
He thinks he'll be true once.
I'm gonna feed you those words. Shut the fuck up, asshole.
You're gonna feed him those words because it's not gonna be food.
It'll be the only.
Maybe I'll be
he gets.
full from all the food I've had.
From all the bullshit you've been feeding us this past.
So
30 minutes.
So when are a billion people supposed to die?
Yeah, can you give me a time frame?
So
now
it
give
would
me
be
a
between
vague Nostradamus prophecy.
It would be between now and
2040.
No, probably May of next year.
Oh, that's a short time frame. I'll give you a little bit longer.
I'll give you a full year.
We're doing a part 2 on this fucking podcast in May.
So give me the end of 2023.
May 30th or whatever. Okay, we can do that. All right, and if a billion people aren't dead,
I'll eat shit on live on stream.
I'll
sit in the middle and be scolded.
No, I want you to have a plate of shit. Actual shit that you have to eat.
No, that's disgusting.
Well, then fine. I get to cover you in poop. I get to wear rubber gloves and I get to throw it over your ears, face, nose, everywhere.
Put your money where your mouth is.
I would rather you just beat me on
that can be arranged.
This was your idea.
I can arrange to beat you.
You're not bulletproof.
We can cover you in oil and beat you with batons.
That sounds like a great good time.
It's not.
It's not.
Alright.
It's called running the Georgia.
How do you know this?
I'm a cultured man. I just know stuff.
Is that also how you knew what waffle stomping was?
I didn't know what waffle stomping
was. What the heck is waffle stomping?
Oh, I can't say it on stream. Go Google waffle stomping. You'll be disgusted.
Look up the prison PB&J.
Don't do that.
Goodbye, everybody.
We'll see if you want to come